Hi there and welcome to another review video. I will be talking about two films today. First one is Birds of Prey, and don't know if I'll get the title right, The Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, or as they've shortened it now, I think now it's just Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. And the second film is Sonic the Hedgehog, which I have just now seen in the cinema. I've just come back from that. So I'll talk about Birds of Prey first, which I must admit I see myself as a comic fan. Generally speaking, comics for me haven't been something that I have been reading all my life. I knew they existed as a kid and as a teenager, but I never really sought them out. I was aware of comic characters, but yeah, it never occurred to me to go out and buy comics and read them. And I must admit, at least from the people that I knew growing up, it wasn't a really big thing in Austria. So I didn't actually read comics until, well, adulthood, and liked them a lot, although I must admit, related to Birds of Prey, I didn't know anything about them. I just read online on various websites that I frequent that seemingly this was the wrong group to put Harley Quinn in. That's all I knew going into this film. So, generally speaking, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was good. Some grievances with it, but overall, I think the main issue, and Warner Brothers have realised this, is that they marketed the film wrong, because it gives you, the title gives you the impression that it's a Birds of Prey film and it's got Harley Quinn in it, and it's actually the other way around. It's actually a Harley Quinn film and it's got the Birds of Prey in it. That's it really, and they should have, in the trailers, etc. That is sort of the feeling that I got from them, but they should have leaned in more heavily into this, that it's actually a Harley Quinn film. And speaking of that, I think it's weird that they chose an R rating. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the fight scenes, I like the violence, that's really to my taste. But considering that Harley Quinn is probably the most popular amongst teenage girls, it seems weird to lock out that big portion of your audience, but okay. In my opinion, Warner Brothers executives tend to make really weird decisions, like with the release date for Shazam just before Avengers the Endgame, for example. So this is another thing where I think they should think about what they're doing a bit more beforehand. That aside, I enjoyed the film. I didn't think it was the best thing ever. To me, it was simply a good film. So it wasn't excellent, it wasn't bad. What I really liked was the acting. I liked everyone really. There wasn't an actor in there where I'd say it was a bad performance, or it wasn't well done, or this, that, or the next thing. I liked the characters as well. Some a bit more, some a bit less. Obviously, the stars of the film are Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn and Ewan McGregor as Black Mask. I know Black Mask from the Batman the Arkham games, and so I knew a bit about him, Roman Sionis, and I think Ewan McGregor did a great job of portraying the villain in this. You can tell that he had a lot of fun. He doesn't get to play villains often. I have to rack my brains to think of when I've seen him as a villain. I can't even think of a film, not that I know all of his ones, but you can tell that he had a lot of fun portraying the character, because at first he seems a bit silly and just seems like an exaggerated person, but there are various scenes where you can see that this is truly a sinister character. He does things that make you uneasy about what you're watching on screen. So I think he did a brilliant job, and as I said, I think he had a great fun playing the character. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is great. She already was in Suicide Squad as well, so pretty much the same thing here. It's interesting what they do with her. Obviously she's not, well, I say obviously, but it should be obvious if you saw Suicide Squad. She's not together with the Joker anymore, they broke up, which to my knowledge is something that parallels the comics at this time. So this is where they're trying to obviously double dip, as it were, into both the film and the comic world, and reward you if you're interested in both of these. And so the start of the film particularly is about her just dealing with this new situation that she's in. Everyone knows her, of course, from the Joker, and that's also woven in, so that's where the emancipation comes from. And I like this angle. I think it's good that she's trying to find out who she is as a character. The film is basically her just arriving from one situation to the next, and it's gradually sort of getting worse, or she's in a twist, and she doesn't quite seem to get out of it. The birds of prey, I mean, they're scattered throughout the film. You see them at various scenes and that, but they don't really come together until the very end. And of these three people, so you have Black Canary, you have Huntress, and then you've got Renee Montoya, who's the cop. And of these three, I like Black Canary the most, because not only did she have more scenes than the others, but it's just her character was so much more fleshed out. I mean, you can see the motivations for the others, but for her it was very clear because you saw her in so many scenes, and she was directly working for Black Mask, and you see just the things that she's going through, and you can tell that she's conflicted. This guy gave her a job and is provided her with a steady income, but at the same time she realises that she can't stay in this line of work forever because this guy is just not good for her. So I liked her character, particularly of those three, and again, like I say, Harley Quinn as well. The fight scenes are particularly good. I like them. I don't know if it's particularly because of the R rating. I don't know what the fight scenes would have looked like without the R rating. I mean, there are some gruesome, violent moments, which I like, but I think they could have done without them just to secure maybe a lower rating to get more people in. There's one scene in particular that I really liked. It's her, Harley Quinn. She's trying to break out someone from jail, and so she confronts the police and when they're at home, basically. And that scene was a lot of fun because she's got a grenade launcher but only shoots off dummy grenades that don't explode, or when they explode it's in a shower of confetti or colours or something like that. It was very, very humorous and very entertaining. Generally, the film is very colourful, which is good. I like it. It fits all the clown themes and everything. This is again something maybe where I'd address the trailer, because from the trailer, I must admit the trailer didn't really impress me that much. Film, I knew I was going to see it because I'm a comic film fan. But yeah, I didn't get the impression that the film was going to be like it was now in this sense. Yeah, because the trailer to me, it didn't show much of the plot. It just seemed like basically girls just like to have fun, which is fine, but it didn't really tell me about the plot a lot. So I would understand if maybe a regular film goer would not feel interested in watching it, besides the fact of not knowing who the birds of prey even are. Like I say, even I didn't know, and I do read some comics. So yeah. So I think that Warner Brothers did a very bad job there. One thing I particularly didn't like were the amount of flashbacks in the film. You have things happening, and then there's a wee freeze frame, and then Harley Quinn comes on to say, "Oh, you don't know what's going on. That's because you haven't seen what happens here." And this happens quite a few times. And at one point, I think you even watching the flashback for about 10 minutes or so, and you completely forget that you're even in a flashback. And then it cuts back to the present. So that was a bit too much for me, but I must admit, when we came out of the cinema, my brother pointed out to me, he said, well, they're probably just trying to show Harley Quinn's mind, or chaotic brain, which I thought, well, that makes sense. I get that. I don't know if that was the intention, but considering that, I would say, okay, I can accept it a bit more. But just to me, it was a bit, I mean, I like that they showed and didn't just tell you, because when that happens, it's like it's a missed opportunity. So I do appreciate that they showed me all these flashbacks, but I'm just wondering if it wouldn't have been better to just put them in sequential order, just put them in the correct order, chronically. Other than that, I appreciate how the film concluded. I liked the ending. I'm just not quite sure what they're going to do with this property at the moment, because as far as I can tell, it's not having the success that they were hoping it would have. And I don't think that the film sells you enough on the birds of prey. I don't think it's a big surprise that at the end of the film, spoilers if you don't want to see this or hear this, that Harley Quinn and the birds of prey separate at the end of the film. I don't think that's a big spoiler or surprise even. Seeing those three on their own, I'm not so sure if people will be sold enough to say, okay, if they make a film in future with just these three, we'll go and see it. I don't really think so. But I hope that they do return, because I generally like the three characters that they introduced in the team. It would be interesting. I'm just not so sure if they'll be able to market it for a solo film or something like that. Yes, overall, like I say, it's a good film, not a super great film, very enjoyable. The humour's good, it's fast paced, I like the editing, like I say, the colours, very, very bright, which is nice. People say that they don't like the sort of Deadpool fourth wall breaking. I believe that's what she does in the comics as well. and therefore it fits the character, but at the same time not many people know the comics, and so I can see if people accuse them of just copying Deadpool, I can see that makes sense. But yes, if you're a comics fan, definitely go and see it. It's a great film. If you like Ewan McGregor in particular, I would say watch it because his performance really elevates it. He makes the whole thing a lot more fun than it already is. Okay. Second film is Sonic the Hedgehog, which I've just seen at the cinema, and as some of you may know, it's got a bit of a troubled history because Sonic initially had a different design. It was supposed to be released earlier, the film was, and his initial design was not very well received. I must admit, it did look really weird. It did not look like Sonic at all. He was a bit too tall, and generally his face was a bit too human. His eyes were very small compared to what he looks like in the video games, and all these things. So I appreciate that. I think it's Paramount, the studio that made it. I appreciate that they went back to the drawing board and reworked Sonic's design and said, okay, let's have another look at this and see if we can improve it, because the backlash was just too big. Whether or not that was intentional, my brother, for instance, he's still not quite convinced that the whole thing wasn't intentional. So it was like a stunt by the studio just to garner huge media presence for this film and huge media coverage. And it's a fair point, but I'm not quite sold on that it was intentional. Anyway, so I like the fact that they said, okay, let's go back, let's redesign it, and that they didn't just release it as it was. That is actually the main reason that I went to see this film. Because I saw the trailer, I thought, okay, it looks fun, it looks like a fine film, it just doesn't look great. And so if the whole controversy wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have gone to see it. So you could say in a way that, yeah, in my case, the conspiracy theorists, they're correct. I went to see it especially because of the whole redesign thing. But speaking of that, I think that they went the correct route. The redesign is a lot better, it fits some more, it looks more like in the video games. And yeah, the film, I went in with low expectations. I knew it was a children's film, so here in Austria it's shown to kids 6 and up. And I knew that, it's a children's film, so I wasn't expecting a high degree of drama and all these things. But I just thought, if it's just an entertaining film, then that'll be perfect. That's exactly what it sets out to achieve, and I would be happy. So I went in with you could say not low expectations, but sort of average expectations. And I must admit, I was very pleasantly surprised. The film is good. I would say it's good. It exceeded my expectations. It's fun. It's fast-paced, as a Sonic film should be, so there's a lot of action in it. The humour's excellent. It's really good. I like the chemistry between Sonic and Tom, is the main character's name. It's James Marsden's character. Their chemistry is great. The plot is very, very simple. Sonic has to, he's in danger, and he needs to leave the planet, and to do that he needs to find his lost rings, the rings that you typically know from the video games, and Tom helps him trying to find these rings. And the US government, who are made aware of the presence of Sonic by a huge electromagnetic shock, they send out one person to try and retrieve him, and that's Dr. Robotnik, who everyone who's played a Sonic game before, you know who he is. He's obviously known in the English-speaking world primarily as Eggman, due to the shape of his head and everything. I always knew him as Dr. Robotnik because I wasn't even aware of the name Eggman until much, much later. Because as a kid playing the games on the Sega Game Gear, the very first Sonic, I just knew the name Dr. Robotnik. Fun fact there, I got a Sega, my brother and I, we were given a Sega Game Gear by my parents after I lost our Game Boy. We had a Game Boy and we lost it in an airport because we were playing around, and to not have it hanging on me, I put it on a trolley, and then we left to go to our gate, and I forgot the Game Boy. So it was my fault we lost our Game Boy, and eventually we got another console, and this time it was a Sega Game Gear, and the first game was Sonic. So Sonic is really deeply ingrained in my childhood memories. I loved that game. And so yeah, so Dr. Robotnik, like I say, for me is was always his name from the start. And speaking of this film, if you are a fan of Jim Carrey and stuff that he's done, and particularly in Ace Ventura, I would say you will love this film. You will absolutely love this film. To me, it's a good film, and I like Sonic and the characters, not all of them, but most of them. I like them all, but if I think about somebody playing Dr. Robotnik instead of Jim Carrey, the film would not be good for me. He really elevates it to another level. It seems like one of his most over-the-top performances, but in a good way. So he's taking all that energy that he had in Ace Ventura and he's pumping it into Dr. Robotnik, and he's got the faces and the body language. I saw a comment online on social media where someone said the next installment in Ace Ventura looks brilliant, and there are so many scenes, I must admit, it seems like a callback to Ace Ventura, but it's done so well, and he's so good. He's menacing, he's funny, the jokes are good, jokes not just for kids, for adults as well, so you really enjoy the whole film. The humour is completely on point. I was so surprised by this. I thought it was just going to be a very generic children's film with, okay, some jokes, but that's it. But Jim Carrey's performance, like I say, it takes it to another level, and he's great with his assistant, who's also he's just awful to everyone, even his closest assistant. And there's so many good scenes, like when he wants to give him a high five and stuff like that. I won't spoil it. Just watch it yourself. It's really good. I like the robots that they had that he uses to try and catch and kill Sonic. Scene taken straight from a video game. There's one scene in particular where he just relentlessly keeps going. It's a sort of a chase on the road, and he just keeps going, and you think, right, the machine's destroyed, and then a smaller machine pops out of it, and it's really well done. And because this is, amongst other things, a drone channel, I can definitely recommend this film for drone enthusiasts, because Dr. Robotnik uses quite a lot of drones in this film. so yes, and that's the only reason I watched it. Nah, I'm kidding. Very drone heavy film as well, which is nice. But the robots generally, they look like, and just the way they're done, they completely seem like taken straight from the game, which is great. It's nice that they sort of paid homage to the games that I thought was weird at first going into this film, because I thought, well, the main audience for Sonic surely are people my age who grew up playing them in the games. But again, as I mentioned before, the film is marketed to children, and that's the age that they based the rating on, which I get. I mean, Sonic is still a very popular character. He pops up in Nintendo games to this day. I believe there's still TV series and they're still releasing games, so it makes sense, of course. But it was still nice to see these little things, these tidbits that only people will realise who really think about and these games and know them. As for instance, I mean, the place that you're at, Green Hills, I immediately thought, that's the name of the starting zone, isn't it, in the very first Sonic? So it's these nice touches that are in there that really reward you as a long time fan. Nice touches, like at the start of the film, he's just got some shoes on, just other shoes, and then eventually he gets his infamous red shoes, the ones that you know. So there's many nice moments. Just one thing, as I said, it's a good film, and I like the acting, the chemistry between the two main characters. What I wasn't too sold on was the wife, the wife, Tom's wife in the film, because there were some scenes that were completely fine and good, but most of it I wasn't quite sold on the chemistry between the two, and the dialogue, it just didn't seem very inspired, so I wasn't quite a fan of that. And then you also have scenes with the wife's sister, who it's quite obvious that she never liked Tom, and so she's using every chance she gets to get her sister to leave him. And then in the film, everyone's looking for Sonic and Tim, of course, Tom, who are, well, they're driving through America trying to get to San Francisco, and it's on the news that they're fugitives, etc, etc, and of course the sister, she grabs onto that and says, oh, he's a terrorist, you have to leave, and all these things. And while fine, and I get that they were doing that, I didn't much care for that character. It didn't really add much to the story. So there were some tidbits with the wife and the wife's sisters that didn't really work for me, but fine, you know, it just rounded the whole thing off. And yeah, I mean, there were some good moments, but mostly forgettable, I would say. So the main standout of this film, definitely, I mean, even as a Sonic fan, the main standout is Jim Carrey, because of all the things he gets up to, and you just watch him, and he's just, it's so much fun just to see what he's doing. And if you do see it, just watch his whole body language. It's really good. He puts so much into it. I was quite surprised, because I thought he would probably treat this, not based on anything that I know of him, but just generally I would think that if an actor got this kind of role, they would think, okay, yeah, I'll play the villain, and I'll play him very comic-y and very predictable and one note, and so, but he really took it, and he really brought so much to this role. And again, if you are a Jim Carrey fan, then this film is worth it alone just to see his performance, even if you don't care about everything else. But yeah, I hear it's doing quite well, the film, which is good. I'm quite happy about that. It wasn't too expensive, I don't think, so I want it to succeed, because I could see them making a few more of these. And again, with Jim Carrey, I definitely want to see more of his Robotnik. So spoiler, I suppose, that he's not dead by then, but it's a kid's film, so yeah, I don't think it's very surprising. It's basically like in the game, every time you beat him, he comes back again, so that's not really a surprise. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed these two reviews. I recommend both of them. Like I say, not the best films, but definitely entertaining. So if you're already interested in these characters, watch these films, and yeah, you can tell me in the comments down below how you like them. I hope you like my surroundings now, by the way. I've changed from the recording in my rehearsal room, because the lighting's very bad, as you can probably tell, and the video's a bit grainy and stuff. So I thought I'll do it at home. It'll be nicer with the lighting and that. I mean, that being said, I'm recording when it's really starting to get dark. I hope it'll still work out. But yeah, so I'm working on this, and I hope this is nicer to look at. And as I said, leave me comments down below if you want to say anything about the films or films you're looking forward to. I would enjoy that very much. And if you generally like what I'm doing on this channel, I would be very happy if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel for future videos. Okay, well, thank you, take care, see you next time.